Hey folks, Kilt-Man here, Kilt-Man at your services. How are you all? Hope we're all doing very, very well. Now, apologies for no videos last couple of days, but me and Mrs. Kilt-Man decamped, went away for a little sojourn. We went off to the wilds of Lancashire. And like for those of you in America, that's Lancashire. Yeah, nothing too exotic, although the weather was glorious. And we stayed in a pub with a bed and breakfast as well. Meals were outstanding. It was gorgeous. We walked the meadows, we walked along canal banks. We had a ball. It was great. We only got back, about 2 or 3 hours ago. And I've been out with the pooch, who's now relaxing on the floor beside me right now. And that walk obviously took in a couple of boozers because the dog had missed the pub for a couple of days. So she dragged me in there. So copious whiskies were had. And I had some whiskey as well. The dog is pissed as a fart right now. But anyway, so that's why there's been no videos. So now let's try and kick things off. Now, this is a bit of, is it news? Is it no news? I genuinely don't know. This morning, good friend of mine, Tonka Tabanor. He's out there, causing a ruckus, is old Tonka. And he said, Kilt-Man, do you remember that Stallone's remaking the film Nighthawks? His glorious urban terrorist thriller from 1981, Nighthawks. And he's remaking it as a TV series. And I went, no, I don't recall that. Weirdly, after reading his message and then doing a bit of sort of research on it, I thought, oh shit, I do remember this. But it's not gone anywhere. Stallone, back in 2020, said he was going to remake this as a TV series for Netflix or Peacock or whoever, as a streaming thing, as an episodic thing, a remake of that idea of New York coppers forming part of an elite anti-terrorist group, tracking down a really nasty, horrible, Eastern European terrorist hell-bent on destroying New York and Western civilization as we know it. And this was touted, but it didn't seem to go anywhere. And then Tonka said they're doing this. This is going ahead. So I was like, oh great. Nighthawks is one of those great sort of unsung beauties of the early 80s. A gritty urban thriller, but with much bigger ideas, like global terrorism and bringing terrorism to New York. Now, you've got to remember that back in 1981, there hadn't been any terrorism on United States mainland at all. There hadn't. This is way before 9/11. This is way before other buildings got brought down with explosives, people shooting at marathons. None of that had happened. So it was kind of ahead of its time. But it was also very sort of prescient and forward thinking. You had Nigel Davenport, the great British actor Nigel Davenport, playing this high-ranking British anti-terrorism inspector who they knew this guy, Wolfgar, played by Rutger Hauer in his American movie debut. Rutger Hauer playing Wolfgar. He was a vicious bastard. They've tracked him. He's killed a few special branch officers, and he's fled, from London to Europe to America, to New York, and he's met up with one of his compadres, associates, the gorgeous Persis Khambatta. Persis Khambatta, you say? Yes. Ilea from Star Trek: The Motion Picture, shaved head, the Delton communications officer. Yes, that's her. And she's frightfully gorgeous in this too. Frightfully gorgeous. And also horribly vicious and complete bitch from hell. But you've got Stallone playing Deke De Silva, one of the worst character names he's ever had. Deke De Silva. And you've got Billy Dee Williams, Lando Calrissian himself, playing his buddy, his partner, Matthew Fox, I think it is. Isn't there an actor called Matthew Fox? I'm sure there is. And they are the great Joe Spinell, who's their lieutenant. Joe Spinell, maniac himself. Star Crash, the Rocky movies. hence why Stallone got him in here for this. And the last horror film, the late great Joe Spinell, love him to bits. He plays their lieutenant, and he drafts these two guys in when Nigel Davenport and his cronies come over. Look, Wolfgar, we're tracking Wolfgar to your doorstep. We need some of your people who know the word on the street. We can use them, bring them in, and we'll train them in anti-terrorism, tactics and strategies, which they do. And so they bring these two guys in. So Deke Da Silva and Fox are brought into this brand new, I think they call it ATAC. What is it? ATAC, Anti-Terrorist Action Command. There you go. Make notes. Little proviso to everybody else out there. Like when you're doing little videos, make notes, because you always forget shit, which you think, ATAC, that's going to stick in my mind. What's it stand for? I know Emily ATAC. No. Anti-Terrorist Action Command. It's a bit of a shit moniker, isn't it? Action Command. It's more like a fucking Jerry Adamson? Jerry did Thunderbirds. See, I've been out, you see. I've come back home and gone out and wolfed down. I've Wolfguard down some whiskey. But yeah, so I mean, it's a bit of a shit, stupid name. But they get drafted in, learn the tactics, and then they got unleashed because they know that Wolfgar is on the prowl in New York. And it's a great urban thriller with lots of tense scenarios and set pieces. The awesome, legendary stuntman Dar Robinson does a lot of stunts in this movie, but Stallone did a lot of stunts himself as well. High-rise stunts. When a tram car is hijacked by Wolfgar and Shaka, and they've got the French ambassador and his wife there, and numerous kids and dignitaries and families are in there, he demands that Deke Da Silva, because he's already met him, because they've tracked him down in a nightclub sequence, which is tremendously well done, and a great subway chase as well. And he demands that Da Silva comes to meet him, and he has to be hung down by a helicopter on a big harness and a rope, and like Stallone said, he shit himself for fucking 16 weeks or so over this. He was traumatised by it. And then he go and make the film cliffhanger. So Stallone, yeah, and after this you go on to do half the stunts where you fall off the cliff face in First Blood. Yeah, you got over your fear of heights pretty quickly, didn't you? But that's how things happen. So it's like, what do they call it? Implosion therapy, flood therapy, where you completely inundate yourself with your fear. If you're afraid of spiders, you get yourself locked in a tank and they flood spiders in there. If it doesn't kill you, you're going to come out of there with no fear of spiders whatsoever forevermore. Fuck that. But it's a great film. It's not as action-packed as people remember it. And it was in 2 cuts as well. The original cut was actually far more nasty. The bloodletting was more severe. There was 2 tones to it as well. In one cut, the nastier version, there was a lot more given over to Wolfgar's character, to Rutger Hauer's character. And Stallone stepped in and didn't like that. Stallone, after the Rocky movies and, well, I'd say Fist and Paradise Alley and Rhinestone, but they really didn't go anywhere. And this is just before First Blood, don't forget. So, but he was still riding the crest of the Rocky wave. He was still a power, and he's been nothing but a power in Hollywood ever since. But he really was on the cusp of something great with this. And he's branching out, he's doing all these, I just mentioned Fist, about the unions and the truckers and all that, like Rhinestone with Dolly Parton, wasn't it? And, oh God, a load of other fucking shit, that he was doing. Paradise Alley, a load of bollocks. But it shows that Stallone was branching out and doing other things and not afraid to do so, which is great, And he always has done that. Despite all his action superheroics in movies and his iconic characters, he has always branched out and tried to do other things. I love Stallone. I stand by Stallone all the time. And this was something different again. As I say, urban terrorism brought to it's global terrorism brought to the doorstep of America, but done in an urban terrorist sort of fashion, with coppers chasing, bad guys, but really he's planting bombs everywhere and he could destroy the world if he wanted to, blah, blah, blah. He's connected to terrorist organisations. That's the thing, which was so sort of out there for people at the time that it just seemed so preposterous and outlandish. And yet when you look at it now, it's really, really tame and tepid. But there was two versions. The full version has more of Rutger Hauer's character, and it's also far bloodier. Now, the film itself was directed by, initially, Gary Nelson, who did The Black Hole for Disney. The Black Hole, I've covered it a lot on the channel. And he disappeared after a few days. Altercations, things weren't happening. Stallone was being a bit of a diva, and Stallone was younger then. You've got to remember that, and this was like a bit of a baby for him, a new sort of tributary to go off on, new tangent, bring in new audiences, break a new genre, and he was taking hold of it. And so once Gary Nelson was off, then Stallone directed a few scenes himself, including the big subway sequence, which I will mention again, and then because he couldn't helm the entire movie, they brought in a guy whose name I have forgotten, Bruce Malmuth, who the only other thing I can find he ever did of any note is Hard to Kill with Steven Seagal, a good few years later, but nothing else really. So, but he took over, and a lot of the action is pedestrian, I will say, but when it counts, it's quite hard hitting. There's a few good shock moments. Nigel Davenport is drummed in as this British, intelligence special branch officer, anti-terrorist specialist. Was brought in, Deke De Silva and Matthew Fox, and he's trying to drum into them you've got to take the shot. When you get the chance, take the shot, and don't hesitate, because these people, they've got their finger on the button. Take that shot. Now, in the big subway chase, so we're going to come on to this, they find Wolfgar in a nightclub in New York. They know he's been around trying to find contacts and places to hole up. So, and they know what his modus operandi is. His face has been changed as well after an altercation with his bosses in Europe, because what did he do? I think he killed kids die in an explosion he does in London in a shopping store, a supermarket, and so kids die and he gets kind of reprimanded. So he kind of fucks off and he has facial reconstruction and then ends up looking like Rutger Hauer, and he goes off to New York, meets Persis Khambatta, Shaka, goes off to New York. But he's trying to find people that can, I've got to hole up somewhere. I need someone as a cover, and I've got to have my arsenal of weapons and explosives as well. And like an airline hostess he shacks up with, discovers his cachet, so he has to kill her. But Deke De Silva, Stallone will, and Matthew Fox will find, they'll find him in a club, and it's playing some great music. I think I'm going to play it now. I'm playing Keith Emerson's score for Nighthawks, and there's a great track, a pure late 70s, early 80s disco track called I'm a Man. Yes, I am. I'm a man. You'll hear all these lyrics. And it's a great sequence. Loads of strobe lights and all that, and disco dancing and big hair, and everyone's giving it loads. And you've got Rutger Hauer as Wolfgar is trying to put the moves on someone because he needs another contact, he needs another place to hold up, and he's just doing his thing. He's Rutger Hauering. And Stallone, who looks like a dark-haired BG, he looks like Barry Gibb with jet black hair, because Stallone's sporting a big bushy beard. He's got long hair, well, much longer hair than normal, and it's not the curly Rambo style. It's just billowing. It's great. Normally with some gigs on as well, and they're in this club and they're looking around, they're trying to find. This ain't Cobra. This is not Marion Cobretti, with his sun gigs on, and his fucking gloves on, and his leather jacket with the cuffs rolled back. Love Cobra, but it's fucking ridiculous. Remind me, folks, I need to cover Cobra a lot. I love it, but it's a pile of old pony. It's awful, but great. But they're watching, and they're trying to they don't know what he looks like, you see, because his face has been reconstructed. But Stallone has this, or Deke De Silva has this, like, you know, this sixth sense. I'm going to spot you. And it's an electrifying moment when their eyes meet across a crowded disco floor. Let's not forget that Stallone directed, oh shit, what was it called? The sequel to Saturday Night Fever. What it was called, can't remember now. With Travolta. He directed it and did a cameo in it as well. Like, what's it called? Who cares? So discos, Stallone knows discos as well. I'm a man, yes I am a man. Their eyes lock, and like Rutger Hauer nails it. They both do. Deke's just like staring over, like, yeah, there's something about you. People are dancing in between, and like Rutger Hauer's just kind of going like. He keeps catching the eye of this guy staring at him, and then you lock eyes, and then it's done. Right, you're on to me. Only one way out of here now. And that's by shooting everybody in sight. So a big chase ensues. People are getting wasted left, right and centre. And the chase goes out into the streets. It goes into the underground, the subway, New York subway. And it culminates in there's a proper train chase. They're leaping onto like speeding subway trains and that, like. And they're going down. What it is, they go down through a tunnel. And that tunnel is an unfinished new tunnel for the New York subway. So it's going to be a proper tunnel. It's not an old disused one. It's a really new one. It hasn't actually been put in operation yet, if I remember rightly. And they're speeding their asses down. It's running. There's no trains coming, but Stallone said it's dead exciting because it's dead dark and he's stumbling over tracks and all sorts. Like, but it was really, really exciting. And what happens is when they're going down this dark sort of subway, Wolfgar's hidden in this recess, and as Fox, Landau Calrissian, Billy Dee Williams comes past, fucking slashes him in the face, and he's like, and it's quite gory scenes, like, and he's been slashed deep across the face, his face is in fucking two halves, like, and Stallone comes up and like grabs onto his mate, and Wolfgar gets on the back of the train, fucking gets away, like, but in a great, I've mentioned this a few times in videos and to a lot of my mates because I love this sequence, and he's cradling Billy Dee Williams and he's just going, he's yelling down the tunnel, you're fucking dead, you're fucking dead, you're fucking dead, or I should say, you're fucking dead, you're fucking dead, and it's like, just fucking get in there. It's brilliant. I love it. And the film will culminate in a bait and switch. You're going to have after the tramway hijacking, they demand a bus to get him out of there. This is Wolfgar and Shaka, Persis Khambatta, who has no, what's it Wolfgar says, do not mistake Shaka being a woman as having any maternal instincts. She'll shoot a child. She's got no fucking qualms whatsoever. She's a bitch. And they get the bus that they want. And but there's a little trickery. They will play a recording of Shaka being interrogated, which sends her off the rails. And like she gives herself away and stands up because with all the hostages on the bus, they've inveigled themselves onto the bus as well. And Billy Dee Williams with a sniper rifle fucking takes her out. And like Wolfgar manages to get the bus will plough into the is it the East River? New York? I don't know. Big watery thing. Hudson? I don't know. Straight into that. Dive teams go in and they can't find Wolfgar's body because Wolfgar's escaped. But they realise that Wolfgar's got details on everybody, on all the ATAC team, including Stallone, Deke De Silva's estranged wife. Estranged wife, you say? You didn't mention her. Yes, and who is it? Lindsay Wagner, the Bionic Woman. Lindsay Wagner. Beautiful, beautiful one. Can only move in slow motion though, which, in certain scenarios could be a great thing. Aye. And so he's coming for her. No, it's weird. Before I get on to the finale of the movie, big spoilers by the way, I've heard lots of different versions of, the film Nighthawks is in two versions. One's more Wolfgar sort of presented, or Wolfgar heavy, and it's more violent, it's more gory, there's a lot more blood and guts in it. And one has more of Lindsay Wagner in it, which are presumably that one. But the cut that we get, because it was interfered with by Stallone himself, he wanted to excise a lot of the Rutger Hauer scenes, because Rutger Hauer was dominating. You see, this diva thing goes on. I love Stallone, but he's a lot younger then. He's trying to make a name for himself. I don't, I can't condone his behaviour for cutting out certain scenes, but and apparently Rutger Hauer said, no, we got on great. There was a few initial difficulties, but we did get on great, and he's a great actor, and I respect him. And they kind of allude to the fact that Stallone took over a lot of the actual producing process, so editing the film and taking out segments and using his Hollywood clout to do so. Lindsay Wagner says the same sort of thing. Oh, he's wonderful. He did his own stunts, and he's so hands-on, praising him. But I've also seen reports and allegations that she made that she did not get on with him at all. Hence why they've only got about 2 scenes in the version that you see out there right now. There's only about two scenes where they're in it together, and they both really don't work. They really are kind of like he goes to. Isn't she some kind of fashion designer? I think she is. She's got her own fashion shop, and they're doing those. And he will go and see her a couple of times, but it's his estranged wife Irene, and the scenes don't work. They're so at odds with the rest of the tone of the movie that just get rid of them. You don't need them. However, for the end of the movie, Rutger Hauer's Wolfgar will go after Irene, because these two people apparently do want to get back together again. Although you really won't get much of a gist of that from the version that you're going to see legally. So I'm saying legally, the full uncut version, we all long to see it. I've heard rumours of work prints of it, but I've not seen it. I've only seen the version that you guys have seen, which is the actual cut. So I really can't comment on an extended version, but I do want to see it though. But obviously Wolfgar's now targeting Irene. And it's a great sort of stalk and slash moment. He will get into the house where she is, and she's doing the dishes. Although you've got to remember, although Lindsay Wagner played the Bionic Woman, she was not muscle bound and with big brawny shoulders. But this figure in the dressing gown, with the hair up and all that, is doing the dishes, and Rutger Hauer's coming in. He's going to take her down, but at the last moment, it turns around, whoosh, and the hair net comes off, and it's Stallone in a dressing gown and hair negligee or whatever, and he's had a gun in a plastic bag in the water. Boom, 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 boom. Well, in the full version, he pumps I don't know how many bullets into him. It's gory as fuck. Rutger Hauer was injured by one of the squibs going off badly, which burnt the side of his face apparently, and so it wasn't a good welcome to filmmaking in the USA. Boom, so he's hurt already. In the version that we can see properly, a theatrical cut, he gets hit about 2 or 3 times, but he falls through the window in the front door and tumbles down the steps, and it's the end. The thing is, this bookends the movie, because in the start of the movie, Stallone is playing sort of like there's been people preying on women on the train stations and all that, like on the streets. So they've been going undercover, dressed as women, and Stallone's been dressed as a woman again, like, you know, and that's why it's bookended like that. But it works well. Now in the full version, Rutger Hauer gets blown to hell and back. You got to try to think of Paul Verhoeven and RoboCop and Total Recall, where, you know, in RoboCop, Kinney get in the boardroom with the Ed 209, gets fucking blown to bits, and that poor guy in Total Recall that Arnie uses as a human shield gets blown to bits. From Arnie will move him from point to point as hitmen are mowing him, pumping lead into this poor guy, and it's fucking gross. Well, that's what happened to Rutger Hauer in the original ending of Nighthawks. He gets blown to hell and back, which he deserves. It got cut down. So the original the Nighthawks that we see now is Stallone's preferred version, although he has said, I would like an extended cut of this to come out, meaning he wants more of the violence put in, but no more of Rutger Hauer probably. I'm only surmising there. So anyway, Tonka Tabernor got on to me and said, like, oh, you're aware of this, aren't you? And I went, I forgot all about it. And I went, oh God, yeah, I do have something about this now. So I did some homework into it, some research today when I got back. And the latest news that I can see is from September 2021. So a year after it was announced. And Frank Grillo, as I say, Frank Grillo, God, the Grey, the Warrior, Purge, Captain America, Winter Soldier. He's fucking awesome. Awesome actor, a great gritty, you know, down to earth, but so character driven actor. As a hero, as, you know, someone who's at odds with the world, someone who's fallen from the right side of the tracks, but he's still someone that you can get behind and appreciate. He is meant to be playing Deke De Silva, Stallone's character. Stallone is meant to be directing this. It's 8 episodes long. They're using the original movie, the original story as a sort of as a foundation, because obviously in the years since that came out, you've had 9/11, you've had the Boston Marathon, you've had tons of things in America. So, you know, terrorism and mass shootings are nothing completely new to Americans now. So how are you going to make that really kind of, you've got to make it something a bit more. So it become something like, I don't know, one of them, is it Homelander, that sort of thing, and the Americans, and you'd have to bring in a sort of Jason Bourne style to it to give it more sort of legs. But what it appears to be is like an extended version of the Wolfgar and Deke De Silva sort of antagonism and cat and mouse game. So you probably have a lot more bombs going off, a lot more context, a lot more action. But it's 8 episodes, directed by Stallone, starring Frank Grillo as Deke De Silva. No other cast that I know of at all. And Stallone would apparently appear in it as well. That was also something else. And it was to go on to either Netflix or Peacock. I think Peacock was the last thing that was mentioned. But since September 2021, and we're now almost September 2022, nothing. I've looked on Frank Grillo's IMDb and other things. I can't see in reference to this at all as forthcoming. He's got things coming up. Can't see this. Looked on Stallone's again. You've always got Expendables 4. How long's that been mooted? I want to see Expendables 4. Get on with it. Fucking get on with it. He's got his superhero movie out. Well, it's out imminently, isn't it? Samaritan, which I think looks great. I will definitely be covering that. Looks interesting. And other stuff as well. But no reference to Nighthawks. So is it gone? Is it gone? Is it... What's happening? I wouldn't mind seeing this. Behind me, you can see the original Keith Emerson vinyl for Nighthawks soundtrack, and I'm playing it right now, and it's great. It's it's full of, excuse me, you may have heard a sort of yawning growl, a yawning snarl. Huskies are great at that. They do a yawn which turns into a growl and a snarl. In other words, Dad, get your ass off that chair, put the whiskey down, stop recording, and give me my fucking tea. Yes, I know. She's staring right at me. And of course, being a husky, she is the thing. I know. Give me a second, hon. Cheers, you. So, what's going on with this? Is Nighthawks, the TV show, going ahead? Does anybody know? Anyone? I can't find anything definite on this at all. I can't. Maybe I've just missed. Maybe there's something out there and it's coming on. It's this December, Kilt-Man, you idiot. It's being advertised already. I haven't fucking seen nothing. And I did a big Google search. Oh yes, Miss Moneypenny. I did a Google search, Nighthawks. And no, I can't find nothing at all. Apart from what was touted a year ago at the latest. But I would like to see more of Nighthawks. And I'd love to see the full uncut version. Because I think it's one of those sort of cult classics that you've never seen this version. Ooh, and we all want it. And yet, when you see it, would it actually be any better? I don't know. Hush, love, hush. But I want to see it though. But how do you replace the likes of Billy Dee Williams and Persis Khambatta and Rutger Hauer? How do you do that? Who can replace Rutger Hauer now? Just can't do it. Even before the likes of Blade Runner, which he'd do after this, he was electrifying. That scene, I'm a man, yes I am, disco lights, all that kind of shit. He is truly astonishingly vivid, and his face, it's just so electrifying. Those blue eyes, I mean, locks with Stallone's, just it really is spine tingling stuff. Works so well, and it's also of its time. How would you sort of bring that now? You wouldn't do Nighthawks set in the late 70s, early 80s, would you? I know the Americans was set way back, wasn't it? But how would you do it? Would you do it in today's world, where you've got all high tech espionage and surveillance, and you've got the the whole Jason Bourne thing. You've got the head shed, well, you've got the director barking orders. Oh, I want tactical on so and so now. Everyone work on so and so. They're doing all this with touch screens. Oh, fuck off. How is that going to work? It just that is too obvious. That's too hyper OTT now. We've seen it a million times in Bourne and every other sort of bloody, even what's his name? Gerard Butler, Mike Banning. Everything's fallen. You've seen it all in that. Is that how you'd go with it now? Because what other way would you do this modern day? You'd have to bring in all new, ultra modern, up-to-date surveillance and tactics and strategy. So how would a guy like Wolfgang actually operate? Yeah, it's going to bring in a whole new ball game, isn't it? But as Frank Grillo was saying, because the quote that I read came mainly from him, he said, Stallone's directing it, and he's even going to be in it. I'm playing Stallone's character, and I can't wait. It's going to be great. We're selling this right. He said, we're selling this right now. That was last year he was saying that. Well, I hope you have sold it, because I'll buy into it right now. I think it could be great. Anything that Frank Grillo does, I'll be massively invested in, because that guy takes no prisoners. He has depth, a grit, a resolve, a bravery, an audacity. He can play a bad guy, he can play a hero, he can play a really homespun sort of salt of the earth character who's going to build everybody up, the rock and the heart and soul of the story. And he can also play the bad guy that you genuinely understand as well. And the bad guy, look at the Grey, he plays a complete and utter bastard in it. And then he goes through the biggest transition of everybody in the Grey. And I've said before, his transition breaks my heart every time I see it. His final moments are just, they're awesome, they're captivating, and they're haunting. They'll stay with you forever. And that's Frank Grillo's power as an actor, and he's amazing. He really should be much, much bigger than this, than he's achieved so far. But then again, maybe not. Maybe overexposure would destroy his abilities and his talents, and he'd just become, oh God, he'd be typecast. He does pick and choose and does different things. Anyway, folks, Nighthawks, what do you reckon? Have you seen it? The original 1981 urban terrorist classic from Stallone. Have you seen it? Did you like it? Would you like to see the uncut version? Do you think it can actually be redone? Do you think it's worth being redone? Is Stallone just really rehashing all his old brands? Is he? I don't know. Rocky never seems to fucking die. You know, and then the offshoot Creed and all that, like, oh, let's not get into the whole Dolph Lundgren spit spat sparring, because who cares? It's all bullshit. Rambo never seems to die. Don't do any more, Sly. Don't do any more, please. Biggest fan of Rambo you're ever gonna meet, but don't do any more, please. God, don't do any more. But I would not mind an Expendables 4. Just don't fuck around and bring in a new breed. You tried that, Expendables 3, it didn't work. It did not work. Stick to what worked with Expendables 1. I seem to be the only person in the world that loves Expendables, the first one, because it's darker, it's more brutal, it's bloody, there's more action in that movie. It's fucking phenomenal. It got watered down with too much comedy in Die Hard, Expendables 2. And everyone goes, oh, that's the better one. No, it's not. It's not better. It's only better in one capacity, that it brings in Chuck Norris. That's the only thing. Then you get Expendables 3. But at least in Expendables 3, you've got Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson is a bad guy, and he's great. He's great as a bad guy. So Expendables 4, I would be massively on board for, hugely invested in. So Stallone, you're not getting younger. Get these fucking films and these TV shows off the ground and get them done. Do it now. Stop prancing around with your daughters on the beach and like doing like, you know, signings, you know, on fucking Hollywood Boulevard when you're getting mobbed by all those sundry and you're making wisecracks. I'm saying you fucking tattoo, You know, don't just make these fucking movies and these TV shows. If you say you're gonna do them, do them. Sly, I love you, mate. I love you. I just can't get enough. I want more Stallone. I do. Cheers, folks. And if you find yourselves in a Parbold in Lancashire, you know, go to the Red Lion. Awesome. And then go and meet the goats out the back. The goats are great. The goats are all characters, and they're live wires, and they're funny, and they're just great good fun. So anyway, folks, there you go. Folks and goats and Nighthawks. Please keep it Celtic, keep it Celtic. Please let me know what you think about potentials for Nighthawks. Do you actually enjoy the original movie? Does anyone give a shit about the original movie? Where is the actual proper big time full-blown bells and whistles Blu-ray with 2 versions of the movie on Blu or UHD? Where's that then? Where is it? Good to see you all. Yes. You're fucking dead. You're fucking dead. You're fucking dead.